everybody. So today we're going to be doing a sunflower. I will have the line drawings for this, so the traceable for this on my Patreon page, which I will have linked down in the description. It's also at the bottom of the screen. This is free to everyone. You don't have to be a supporter to get the line drawings. You do have to be a supporter to see the full-length video of this. But you don't have to be a subscriber or a supporter to get the line drawings. The line drawings are always free to everyone. So for today, these are the colors we're going to be using. We're going to be using cadmium orange, yellow ochre, lemon yellow, hooker's green, titanium white, burnt umber, and burnt sienna. And I'm using, you can see I'm using both Liquitex Basics and the Hobby Lobby brand, the Master's Touch, or Fine, what is it, Fine Touch. The light fast rating is not as good on the Hobby Lobby Fine Touch brand, but we're going to roll with it because I don't have those colors in the Liquitex Basics. So, got my rock, and the first thing we're going to do, we do need, I think I'm going to paint my background blue. So to do that, we are going to need some phthalo blue. Just a little bit of phthalo blue, maybe a little bit more. But we will only be using that for the sky, or the what would be the background color. So let's get some titanium white and a paintbrush. No, I'm not going to use that one. Let's see. My little go-to, which is a Royal and Langnickel, the round number 6. So let's see. We are going to mix these colors together to get a good sky blue color. See how that looks. Yeah, I like that. And we're just going to paint around our design here. If you wanted, you could do the background first, then apply the blue on top of it. I never really know exactly how I'm going to do things until I sit down and start doing it. So I'm just going to paint around my design. I'm not much of a planner. I just go with how I feel that day. There's been times where I've wanted to plan videos in advance. And then I'll wake up that morning to do the scheduled video, and I'm not feeling it that day. So I always just go with the way I feel. I don't try to force myself, other than to paint. I do force myself to paint every day, which is, a challenge in itself, because some days you just don't feel like it, or you've got other things to do. But since this is my job, I treat it like a job, and I do it whether I'm, wanting to do it or not. I mean, if you have a regular job, you know what I'm talking about. There's days you just don't want to go to work, but you make yourself do it. And that's what I do. I have to make myself come in some days and record a video or work on a commission piece or, you know, whatever I need to do that day. So, but unless it's a commission piece, I just go with how I feel. Like I may have said I'm going to do a Halloween piece tomorrow, and then I come in tomorrow and it's like, I don't want to do a Halloween piece. I want to do, you know, a cute little animal. That's how I'm feeling. So, like, I don't plan a lot. Would probably get a lot more done if I could just schedule out in advance exactly what I was going to do. I used to try to have a schedule on YouTube where I said, okay, I'm going to paint this type of painting on Monday and this type of painting on Tuesday. And I had to just stop doing that. My voice is rough this morning. I don't know why. Sometimes I wake up and I smell it, or I sound like I've been smoking a pack of cigarettes, and I don't smoke. And this will probably need a second coat because I am trying to go over this black background. Okay, now we'll have to, got that all done, but I need to do a second coat, so we'll go around it with a second coat. This one I'll be a little bit more particular. I'm going to try to paint with the rock on my table without picking it up. That might be difficult for me. Paint's kind of getting dry, so just add a little water to it. That'll help it flow better. And I'm also trying to smooth out my brush strokes so I don't have ridges. And I do that by kind of gently stroking over the paint. So I kind of press harder to get the paint off the paintbrush, and then I stroke lightly to get rid of the ridges. We're getting there. Okay, we just about got this. I probably need to clean up my edge. Doesn't look that good. What I may do is use my black to clean up this edge instead of using the blue. But I will make sure that the paint is solid over here. Let's see. I just want to make sure my line goes all the way down. And that way when I go back over it with black, it'll be, I won't have to worry about trying to color match this again. Okay. Be tricky doing that, painting that in black. Okay. So now I think what we're going to do is take some yellow and some, okay, this was the lemon yellow, and then some yellow ochre and a little bit of the cadmium orange. hue. Get so much of this. I need to get that off. This is going to prevent my... I hate doing this because it gets so dirty. Let me see if I can find a razor blade. This paint buildup is going to prevent my lid from shutting all the way, and it'll dry out my paint faster. There we go. There we go. Okay. See if I can kind of clean up my fingers, because I don't have enough water. So I keep these are smart to have if you keep like wet wipes. I have Clorox bleach wipes here, but they've fallen into the tub. But I love these things, these Clorox bleach wipes. They're very good for cleaning off this paint. I did a video the other day and I'd been using alcohol inks. Well, you can still see I still am stained from the alcohol inks on my... I look like I had been eating Cheetos. Okay. I just don't like having dirty hands. I normally don't do my nails, but I did them the other day and now I'm all weird about my hands looking dirty, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we have a lot of animals and I'm always loving on somebody, so I don't like long nails and I don't like... I mean, I do like long nails. I actually went to cosmetology school and learned how to do nails and cut hair and all that stuff, but when you have animals, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm gonna I'm just base coating this right now, kind of just figuring out where I want things. I've got the line drawing, but I'm gonna need some more white, because a lot of these are gonna be translucent. So you're gonna need to probably mix white in with these colors to get them to show up. See, I get so filthy. And I'm going to transfer all that onto this rock. So I'm going to do the petals first, then I'm going to go in and do the middle. So we're just going to base coat these on, but I'm going to highlight around here. Highlight. I always do that. I'm going to shadow around here. I don't know what is wrong with me. This shadow is going to help me know where the petals are, if that makes any lick of sense. So you can either put in the shadow or you can leave. So I shadowed this one, which shows me where my next petal is, or you can leave some of the background showing right here, a little line. Either way works. I may do it that way just because it'll be quicker and I don't have to keep re-dipping into different colored paints. Now if I were going to outline this like I do in some of my rocks, I would just go ahead and outline it. This paintbrush may be too big for that one spot. Get it figured out. The wind is picking up outside. I may have to shut my door. So can you see how I'm just leaving kind of a gap between the petals? Because that's going to be a different color anyway. It's going to be my shadow color or my highlight color. It's going to be one or the other. Now on the line drawings that I have posted on Patreon, I have two different ones. I have just the simple line drawing that looks like this, and it's actually what I used for this. And then I have another line drawing where I've got like the shading indicated on it. And you can use either one. This one's obviously cleaner, but the other one like shows you where the shadows should be. Remember, this is just a base coat. This doesn't have to look good or anything. It's basically just going to help us get that background color covered, so that black background covered. And if you don't have these colors, you can just use whatever colors you have available. It's your flower and you can make it look however you want. We are getting there, about halfway there. Alright, so we may just do one more coat on these. Just real quick. You see, to speed things up, I'm just pressing down and then pulling up. I'm just kind of doing a press and pull. And that's working pretty well for me. Now granted, the shape of this paintbrush helps me achieve that for sure. Okay, do this one over here. I'm going to just clean off our paintbrush because we have a lot of paint in there. And then we have, let's see. So now we're going to go in and add a little bit of this yellow ochre. And that's going to create some of our shadows. And I'm going to thin this out. I had too much water. Taking a little bit of water, and I'm going to mix that until it's kind of a liquid. Can you kind of see how liquidy that is? And I may even switch paintbrushes. And what I do when I clean my paintbrushes is I like to make sure that I put them down You can either lay them down on the side like this, which I recommend while it's wet, so the water doesn't get into this the barrel of the paintbrush. There's a name for this and it's escaping me right now. But this is where all your glue is, holding not only this barrel to your paintbrush itself. It is pressed, but it's also glued. But it's also, your brush bristles are glued in here. So you want to try to keep as much water out of here and keep this as dry as possible. So when your paint bristles are wet, it's better to leave them laying down as opposed to putting them back into your, paintbrush holder, whatever you use. So I'm just looking for, I think we'll try, I need a brush. Now they call it, this is the snap. I need a brush that's got some good snap to it for this. So I have this brush, or this brush. I think I'll go with this one. This one's a little bit smaller. This is a double aught, or a 2-0 from Holotap. I have a whole set of these. The triple aught is the one I use for my fine line. This is my triple aught. This is the one I use a lot for fine lining. But I think I'm going to use this one. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, this is the double aught, meaning 2 zeros. And I get this off of Amazon. And again, it's Holotap. So we're just going to, if we need a darker color, I'm going to mix up a darker color here. I'm using orange and the yellow ochre. And this is going to be, but I need to add water to it. This is going to be my shadow color, I think, my darker. We'll see how that works. If not, if it doesn't work very well, then we'll get some burnt sienna out here. And let's see, we definitely, the base of the flower, or not the flower, but the petal, is going to be darker. But the petal that's underneath needs to be even darker still. So the rule I'm going to go by is, if the petal is underneath, it's going to get this darker shade. If the petal is on top and just kind of, you just want to give it a curled look, then it's going to get this just slightly darker shadow. I do think the base should be darker on all of these, so we will darken that. So I'll have to go in. This one is going to be, let's see, this one's going to be darker here. So you have to kind of think about where you want all this. So I think I'm going to go in and add, I'm just going to work on this color first. This will be better. And the flowers that are underneath, we're just going to do the shadowing on it first. So this one's on top. We're going to go ahead and just use this down here. Like this one, like that. Then let's see, this one's going to be lower. I hope this is making sense, kind of what I'm doing. I'm just deciding which flowers are going to be underneath and which ones are going to be on top. Okay, this side's going to be underneath. This one's going to be underneath, so I'm just going to darken this whole piece. This side is underneath, right there. And I am dragging up like a center line, just as kind of a shadow. I didn't do this one. That just gives kind of that, they have ridges on them. You know, we're not too worried about making this 100% realistic. It would take a lot longer than what we've got. Time for here, so. I feel like this petal's a little lower. There we go. I'm also trying to work on my speed. I tend to be a slow painter, but for these videos, trying to speed up a little bit so they don't, so you don't get just incredibly bored watching them. There we go. So we are starting to look like a sunflower. Now we're going to dip back into our yellow ochre. And we're going to make our glaze here. And then we're going to just keep building our colors up here. And if you don't cover your background up, get your paint and try to get it covered up. Because that's going to look weird. just going around and I'm just working on more of my shadows. This is what I refer to as tightening up the details. Going in with a little bit thicker paint. Kind of less of a glaze. Still mixing it with water, but it's just a little bit more intense of a color. And we got to make sure, like I said, that we're covering up that background. And you see I don't have any black out, right? Yeah, no black. Make sure. Black isn't always the desired shadow color. It'll sometimes kind of muddy up your design. Just sometimes just does not look good. In some cases it's good and sometimes it's not. So with this flower I definitely don't want to use black. I can use brown, orange, things like that, but I don't want to use black on this. And we are going to go back over this with some yellow, so if it's starting to look too orange, just bear with me a second. We are going to lighten it back up. I just want to work on getting these shadows. See these little leaves that are down below? They probably need like some burnt sienna on them. Okay, so let me go back. I did the yellow ochre on these, and you see how it just kind of made it look a little bit more true to a sunflower color. That on top of that lemon yellow looks good. I just like the two. I like the, but I'm leaving some of it. I'm just doing a couple strokes. And this is more impressionistic. It's going to look like a sunflower, but it's not going to look like a photo of a sunflower, because that's not what we're striving for. And I do sometimes paint in like photorealism. I never do hyper realism. There is a difference. I have a painting behind me that I need to finish. I'm just so busy with YouTube that I need to finish it, though. It's going to go in my home, so it doesn't really matter because I don't even have a home to put it in yet. Still, we're going to be getting a home next year, I think, is our goal. Okay, so now I'm getting some burnt sienna, just a little bit of it, and this is what we're going to use just in a couple of areas. Just the flowers where you need to darken your shadow. But see how we're just building layers? We didn't just go in with this in the very beginning. I like to just build up my layers and build up my contrast. Some more water. I'm getting in this flower that's in the back. I went into more of the just solid paint instead of the glaze. Have you ever seen those orange sunflowers? God, they're so pretty. My husband, on our, I guess our second date. No, I guess it was, trying to think. It was our third date. He brought me, because our first and second date, I didn't let him come over to my house. I met him. You just never know, right? And I met him online, so it was definitely not a situation where I would have him come to my house in the beginning. But over time, I grew to trust him. I think it was our third date. He brought me flowers, and they were some type of small purple flower, but the main flower was orange sunflowers, and they were beautiful. Alright, so we are coming to the end of this. There we go. So it's looking really good. I'm really pleased with that. Now if you want to add a little bit of yellow, we can go back into this and we'll make a little glaze out of it. Now I use a lot of glazing. Glazing works with transparent colors. It doesn't work very well with colors that have titanium white added to them. So this is just going to kind of brighten up and lighten the side. This is going to be kind of our highlight color. So I'm just mainly doing the ones that at the tip of the flower and the side that is, if you've got a side that is not under another petal, like this one is on top, so we'll go ahead and highlight that. I may have to make another blue and hit around these petals a little bit better. And we need to kind of step back and look at our flower from time to time. You know, just like as if you're painting on a canvas. You know, they always tell you to step back away from your work and look at it from a distance. And you do that, one, because when you're sitting on top of your painting, you see all of your brush strokes and everything. Most people don't view paintings up that close. They view them, they always tell you, when I was in school, they said to move back about 6 feet from your canvas, because generally paintings are hung on a wall and there is furniture in front of them. So you're usually about 6 feet away viewing paintings. So that's about where you want to be when you are painting a canvas. Now we don't, these are rocks, so obviously people are going to be really looking at these a lot closer. But you still want to step back and kind of see what it looks like, you know, kind of at least arm's length away. Alright, so I'm taking my Hooker's green and I've added in a little bit of titanium white, and we're going to go in and start painting in these leaves. And I'm going in with kind of a, maybe a mid-tone. Probably needs to be a little bit darker than that, because you can't really see it separated from the background. Needs to have titanium white in it if you're painting against black to get it to even show up, though. Like in my case. I'm going to put another one right in here. So I have a lot of black kind of showing up. So if you want to cover something up, just add a leaf. Adding another one there. These I think are the part of the base of the flower. There's these pieces that come, they're not leaves, they're part of the, like on a rose, the, what would it be, like the shell of the flower? Does that even make any sense? I don't know what you'd call these. Okay. Now we're going to do the flower, the leaf. And these leaves are kind of jagged. This isn't going to show up very well. But you can kind of dab at it to get some texture on the leaf. Alright, so almost done with our base coat. So I'm going to clean that. Then I'm going to go with a smaller paintbrush, I think, for the leaves. Alright, so now we're going to lighten up our green quite a bit. I am going to add just a little bit of water. We're not thinning this out to a glaze, but we're thinning it out so that it'll move better. I have switched to, no, I have not, but I am going to switch to my liner brush, my detail brush, which is the triple up from Holotap. And draw out a, draw your brush out to a point. And now we're going to draw in the veins. Now, we're going to let those lines dry for a second. And I'm going to make a glaze out of this. This is the Hooker's Green. I'm going to make a little bit of a glaze here. And we're going to glaze in some shadows. Okay, let's get just a little bit more. I've thickened up my paint just a little bit. Just going into straight paint to do these shadows by the flower and the stems, like the ribs in the stem. Okay. Okay, I think we're getting close to being done. I'm going to darken, just make sure, let's see if I need to do any of these. This would be easier with the smaller paintbrush, but on these particular leaves, just being lazy. Okay. So now we need to paint in the base. I'm going to use my round blender number 6 by Princeton Select. Princeton Select round blender number 6, yeah. And I'm going to just base coat this section. And I'm just kind of swirling this on. Because we did our petals first so that we could do this. Because the middle is gonna need to come over some of the petals, not all of them, but some of them. A little bit. Okay, so we're gonna need some more of this. Do we want to use, I think we'll use the brown, a little bit more of the brown, and some burnt sienna. That was a lot of burnt sienna. I didn't need that much. And we'll What's in the centerpiece. And then we're going to go with a little darker. And then we'll get some brown. Because it's kind of, there's kind of rings in there. The center needs to be the darkest, it looks like. Let me look at, I do have a reference photo I'm kind of looking at. The center is going to be the darkest. But we need to lighten this so that the dark will show up better. And I'm pouncing down, so when I load my brush, I'm pushing down and spreading out those bristles. And I'm not mixing all of the paint. You can see how there's, let's see, where's it? This isn't going to autofocus because I have autofocus off. But you can see that there's some white and some brown. I want that to work to my advantage to create a kind of a mottled where I don't have to go in with all these different colors. This is going to do it for me. Now we're going to make sure that the center is dark. And then there's a lighter rim and then it gets darker again. So we're going to kind of keep going back and forth over this, making sure that this is dark. And see how we're leaving some of that black showing? That kind of creates depth. But I am going to clean that out. And then I'm going to take my liner brush. This is the Liquitex 2. And the double aught. And I'm adding green to this and some brown. This will actually make brown. Green and red make brown, so if I add like a green and orange, it'll make a kind of brown too. So I'm just going to kind of pull some of that brown out into the leaves. That's going to give some depth there. And kind of incorporate that all together. I don't want true black because I don't have that really anywhere in my flower, so I don't really want it here. So I'm trying to just kind of go over it. That's where that background is showing up. I just want to make sure that there's paint on my whole rock. And there we go. I think we are really getting close. I just want to pull some brown up in here. I feel like my flower's not quite centered. I know I'm, whoa, that's way too much paint. And I'm just kind of patting down because I've got kind of texture, because I'm dabbing that paint on, and I don't want that texture to show up. So I just dabbed it with my finger. Okay, and try to get this paint off my hand. Alright, and I think we are done. So we're going to sign it. I think I'm going to sign it in green. Oh, that's not the right paintbrush. I don't like signing that one. This one works better. So we're going to get some green. Oh, and I need to, oh, you know what? Hold up. Let's see if we can't clean up the side of this. Now, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I'm thinking about if I just hold my paintbrush. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. This may be a complete disaster. Yeah, that is... Be better if I just do it by hand, I guess. I don't think this really has to be 100% perfect. I just want to clean it up a little bit. Oh, let's see. Goes a little high right there. So pull that back down. Don't do this unless you know for sure that your flour is dry. Okay, I think that'll work. It's not perfect. It goes up high right here, but I think for the most part it's relatively clean looking. Okay. Now I can sign it. Get my paintbrush cleaned out here though. And for that I use the Apple Barrel Black. I know that doesn't, it's not clear. But this is a flat black. And I love that stuff. Okay, so let's get the liner brush, the Holotap Triple Lot. And let's see, I think I want my flower, I feel like my flower is, this is just the way it highlighted, I think this is going to be the base. So I'm going to sign it right here. Like I said, I'm going to sign it in green. Just a little bit of water for flow. Oops. So there we go. Simple little signature. And there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.